Yo, what up? Welcome to Trading Unfiltered. What up, big guy?
What's going on, man?
Oh, just hanging out on this beautiful hot weekend.
Man, it is so hot. It's so damn hot here. It's ridiculous.
100 degrees. 100, literally 100 degrees.
Yep, it is here too.
Killing me. Well, man, we ain't done one of these in a while, and we have been doing some live stuff. And we've had people ask us in the live, we've had people ask us in our room about these magical parabolic setups that we are taking, what they are, what makes a parabolic, how we classify them, how we trade them, and how we find them. So, for the sake of transparency, I trade parabolics decently. You trade parabolics a lot, and that's like your thing.
Yeah, man, it's my favorite setup.
Yeah. So, like, this is sellers like A plus type of trade. So, anyway, let's just do this intro thing, get into it.
Hit it.
Also, before I just let you take the floor with this, because this is your realm of expertise. Uh, for again, full transparency, we trade these differently, right?
Yeah,
We
a
both
little
trade
bit.
parabolics, but we do trade them differently, and that is okay. But for those of you that watch this or that listen, I would listen to him. I have coveted the parabolic setup to my liking, but when it comes to parabolic experience, expertise, trading, listen to that guy.
Oh man, you trade them. You trade them great.
So anyway, yeah, man, I'm gonna learn
Well,
a thing or two today too.
well. First of all, I'll give a shout out, Chris Verma. Uh, I don't know who actually coined the term parabolic or the way that we trade them, but I learned a lot about it from him. And I don't trade them exactly the way he does. I use some of his criteria. I use some of his, I guess you'd call it blueprints for the way that I classify them and the way I find them. But I've changed it up a lot. First off, you got to start it off with the TI scans,
Yeah,
and
we
that's
both use trade ID, and again, Chris, I think laid the blueprint for a lot of people to trade these, but I
yeah.
don't know how you trade these without trade ideas.
Just for reference, like here's just I'm on 32-inch vertical monitors, so it might be a little distorted, but this is what one of my monitors looks like. I dedicate it all to my TI scans. That's pretty much what my uh, scanners boxes looks like. And I won't get too much into it. You can classify it, set it up however you want to. I've got different uh, percentages that I need for my pairs to hit the scans. I got different price ranges, uh, time of day. That has a lot to do with it, but I stray a little bit from some of it depending on the setup. There's a lot of discretion that goes into it too. It's a systematic type trade, but I use a lot of discretion, and I'll get into some of that more as well. If you want to show your TI scans too, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because this is where we differ, right? We do a lot of things similar, but we also differ. So, this much like yourself, I got a vertical monitor and the whole thing is dedicated to trade ideas and the scans, but this portion is I'm gonna say it takes up about a third of my vertical scan, and it is all for parabolics. And just for reference, the left side of this are the alerts. So this first box here, it's gonna alert me when it starts to move. The middle box is when it's making a stronger move, and this third box is like, all right, boom, it's it's where I need it to be. And then the right side of this is giving me basically fundamental and technical analysis in a very quick snapshot. And much like you know, these we have our boxes coded for red and green. You know, green good, red bad. So
Yeah, and I've got mine with different shades of green depending on how good it is or how bad it is, but and different shades of red too. Um, and that all just comes with how you want to do it, how you want to set it up. You know what you want to see if you're depending more on the chart, or like a systematic type way of trading them, just depending more on your scan.
yep,
Um,
yep.
and for me, I might have something with several red boxes, but that really doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, it means something to me in the grand scheme of things, but if the chart is setting up the way I want it to, I might disregard some of that, you know, red flag criteria, as you might call it.
Yeah, and I would do the same. You know, a couple red boxes doesn't negate me from taking the trade. It just provides us with a super quick snapshot. Because the main things with these parabolic moves is they are fast. They can literally, the move can happen on the way up and back down within minutes. And
Oh
seriously,
yeah,
like without trade ideas, one, we couldn't find them. And then we need to get all that information very fast. So
yep.
this finds us the move and also provides us like the whole right side providing me with technical and fundamental analysis like really in seconds. And I know it's an empty screenshot, but as you saw is, you know, it was lit up red and green, and mine would do the same. Of course, we're doing this outside of market hours, so I didn't have a screenshot of or an old screenshot. But yeah, during market hours, like those boxes are going to be lit up green and red like his were. So
Right, right. Um, and I mean, I guess that's a pretty good explanation for how we use TI with it. Like I said, we won't get too deep into it for our exact criteria, because it's going to be different for everybody. And if you wanted to trade this setup and you're serious about it, you're going to have to back test it and figure out what really works for you and your style most of the time, and gives you enough edge to where you can confidently trade it with size. Because for a long time, this was my most profitable setup, and I mean, overall, it probably still is. I just I haven't been getting them in the past couple of months as much as I used to, but I feel like that's kind of why it's a good refresher for us to do this video right now and kind of
yep.
get into it. Because
And what I was going to add one quick
yeah,
nugget too. So where you're talking about back testing and you know that type of stuff, finding edge, right? We've talked about that a lot. Like I want to show one quick screenshot of, and this is again with trade ideas using their back testing feature to find edge. So I'm just going to show this, but
yep.
this is the parabolic style that I trade, you know, with my criteria and my, you know, because we trade them differently. But if I'm using my,
But they're still similar.
yeah, very similar, just slight differences in our own methodology, you know, and risk levels and targets, and that's just for our own personalities, you know.
Yep.
Um, but this is edge, right? This is back tested edge. Um, this is with the exact criteria I use to trade, and if I were to follow that criteria and take every single trade, this is what the equity curve would look like. Now, of course, you're not going to catch them all. It's not possible. You might not get locates. You might miss the move. Bunch of different factors. So it's not going to play out exactly like this. But what this does show me is there's edge in the setup. It is back tested. And I know mathematically and per that setup, I can make money with this trade, with this setup. So when he's talking about edge and back testing, like this,
That's it right there. I
this
mean,
is
that's
edge.
picture perfect. You can look at it, and
I
it's
mean,
you can input whatever criteria you want for this setup and back test it like that, or however you choose to back test it. I mean, you can use whatever suits you, and I like the TI test. I mean, I already have TI, so it's helpful. And you're a lot more. I guess you'd say data oriented. Like you can
Well,
put it
I
into
usually
words and
take what's in, trade ideas lets you go back 60 days, I think, 60 trading days, if I remember right, which is, a few months, 60 trading days, about 3 months. And it lets you do that. Now, if you want to go further than that, I usually take that back test from trade ideas. That gives me a good idea. And then I would take it to something like Spike Heat or something like that and get a much broader picture from a much larger data set to give me a much better idea of how this is going to perform over a larger period of time.
yeah, and then
Um, but
the forward testing after that is going to give you confidence in it too.
yep, yep,
So
you definitely got a journal.
yep, um,
Yeah, we were talking about that real quick. We were talking about that before this video. We just were on here chit chatting a little bit, and we were going through old journals where we were handwriting notes and hand drawn charts and
oh yeah,
grind.
I got one right here, man. I remember my wife got me this
Yep.
for Christmas. I don't remember what year it was, and man, every day. I mean, every day I was filling this thing like
Yep.
every day, just long, long. I mean, you got to do this.
Yeah, man. It's
You
part
got to
of
think
it.
about all your bullshit, man. I had so many days where I was just talking to myself, but it seems crazy. And now I have a little bit cleaner way of doing it. But it's really important, man. You can't find edge or build a strategy or anything. It doesn't like I was talking about. If I was just to trade a setup just because of somebody like Verma or whoever, like I'm trading his setup, I'm not going to have full confidence in it. And he says that too. And I didn't understand it at one point in time, but now I do. You
Hmm.
have to, you've got to back test it, forward test it, journal it, everything on your
Yep.
own,
Yep.
so you can have confidence in it. Just because I trade parabolics a certain way doesn't mean you're going to be able to. And I say you're just as in anybody,
Oh, you
it's
give somebody the keys to a race car, they ain't gonna be able to drive it. Not
exactly,
effectively.
exactly.
So
Um, and I mean that's all we're saying about that. I try to explain how I trade pairs to a lot of people, and there's just so much that goes into it. But I without getting into too much detail, I mean, I have basic criteria, and then discretion goes in with it, and that's
yep.
in a nutshell what I'm doing with these.
Yep.
Um, and so I'll give a couple examples here of
So for the first one, can I ask you for your first example? Can you show a picture perfect parabolic setup?
yeah. Let's see here. For me, picture
Yep. For you.
perfect. I'm gonna say it'd have to be this hoodie trade. What do you think?
That's a good one. And this was an outlier move. Like, yeah, this is a good one.
This one right here.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this one, and I like the way I traded it because this is a picture perfect as far as like from a data standpoint. There wasn't really a great resistance on this that I was risking off of, which is something that we'll get into. I like a pair up with a resistance, but if I don't have that, and I mean, so that's you can call it picture perfect for from different standpoints. From like a data standpoint, this would be picture perfect in the way that I traded it, as it's it's hitting my para scanner, and although I wasn't early on it, I was late. That actually was better, and I like doing that. I see the failed follow through, the big blow off on volume with previous in the day, not much volume. It's in the middle of the day, straight up, straight down. That's what I want. And
Yeah,
that's
we
the
both want instant resolution.
Yep. And I mean, it's I have certain cover criteria that's a little different than some other people's, and it's cover criteria that's been working for a little while, and I'm going to keep milking it until it doesn't. A lot of people know what I'm talking about. A lot of them don't. Doesn't really
Well, I
matter.
think that's one thing we differ at too. Like, you're covering using certain indicators, and
Right.
then you got like me. when I'm trading parabolics, I'm usually risking from my entry, from the trigger of the parabolic move, I'm usually risking 10% to make 30,
Yep.
regardless of technical indicators. And that's somewhere where we differ too. But again, we're both trading these stocks. We're just trading them a little bit different. And there's nothing wrong with that. We've just catered them to our own style.
And let's see here. I'll let me show another one that was one that didn't necessarily have resistance, and this is one from last year. It was a pretty crazy one. A lot of people know the name. So this one right here,
Yep.
ILAG.
Yep.
If I would have taken this when it hit my scanner, it would have been a big loss. I don't remember exactly what price it was when it hit the scanner, but
It
this is
probably was around 7.5, $8 when it hit that P30. I
yeah,
mean, because it halted. It may have been a little bit before that, but I bet that because it halted numerous times on the way up. So I bet this thing triggered around 7, 8 is my guess.
yeah. And see, I don't even have a P30. I've got a P20 and a P40.
Mm,
Um, but anyway, I really like the way I traded this one too. It,
yeah.
waiting for the failed follow through, which this would, I think right here, I took it like, I mean, yeah, it was pretty much failed follow through, which ideally I'd want to be hitting it all right here. But this was a crazy move. If anybody, I don't think there's too many people that don't remember this one. The day that happened, it was a pretty bad one for a lot of people. But see, I don't trade the liquidation type moves because I just don't know how to trade them. I
Right.
trade I trade paras. You know, paras for me mean a couple different things. Another example. Uh, let's see here. So a para might be like this trade. This is BNRG. It's from this year, and it it doesn't. It's right here at the beginning of the day. It was a parabolic esque move, really on more like a day two gap up, I guess you'd say. But I like I like the resistance, and it's like a fake breakout. This is great for me. I've got somewhere I'm risking off of, and I wasn't going to let it go much further. But this is like a blow off fake breakout type move. We love hitting those, and then straight
Yep.
up, straight down,
Yep.
and I don't remember what if I had the spot I wanted to cover here, but
I
I,
bet you did, based on the fact that it was that kind of a day two esque type of play. I bet that line would have been about right there.
yep, I held the rest for end today, and that was it, man. That was a good play. That was ideal for me. Blow off move, resistance. I call this a parabolic. Um, it's a little
Yeah.
different than what you might call parabolic or whatever, but that's a good one. Here's another one that was late in the day, but it was a big move. I took it short,
But this to
and
me is like a super nice example. Like literally, like all day long, we want this like
yes,
flat, and then out of nowhere, straight
boom,
up, and then as quick
straight.
as it went up, like straight back down. Like for both of us, these parabolic moves have to be, they got to go up. X, for him, he's looking for a 40% move in X amount of time. I'm looking for at least a 30% move in X amount of time. And usually our X amount of time is, I'm not trying to get too specific, but
No,
usually
it's
15
fine.
minutes or less. Like we're wanting that move to happen very quick. We don't want a grind. We want literally straight up, straight back down. We're not waiting on a grind to get there. I mean, and that's why we need trade ideas. Because look how, like this right here, this move happened. This thing went from a buck 50, almost up to almost 100% move within almost 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That move happened,
Yep.
and unless you have a scan like with trade ideas to catch that move, you're never gonna either knew it happened or you're gonna be way too late. I don't know how you catch it without having like the trade ideas scanners that we have to catch these moves. Because this was seriously 15 minutes. up in what, 10 minutes, and it's already back down below 2. I mean, it had
Yep.
a little pop after, but I mean, these things happen fast. So that's why you have to have the software to help you catch these. And we're going to have a link in the video for Trade Ideas. So if you want to, you can check it out. But we seriously could not trade these without our scans. It just wouldn't be possible.
Yep. Exactly.
And
And
I think for both of us, I could be wrong. I think for both of us, it's largely the only setup we have that like we could not trade without Trade Ideas. There's other setups we trade where we could, get by with other platforms or software. It wouldn't be as ideal, but like this setup here, like it's just not possible to trade without Trade
yeah,
Ideas.
not at all, man. You have to have it. It's essential. I
Yep.
couldn't trade these without it. And a lot of these that I've been showing are kind of outlier because there's other types of pair moves. I couldn't find a good screenshot earlier just because they haven't been hitting my scans quite as frequently. But
Yeah, summer trading, we're into summer trading. You get less parabolics during that season, typically, but
and
they'll
ideally,
come back around.
it's better to sometimes this kind of stuff happens. I was really risking. I was risking close to 3, but I had too much size on, and then stuff like that winds up happening. When you oversize on the front side, you wind up getting top ticked out. But I got back in, and it ended up being a good win. That's an example of when I got back in and it worked out. But then sometimes you have them like Hoff, one that we were talking about earlier. It's had so many up downs. There's been so many times this thing's failed, and
And this is a good, I mean, I got some daily pictures I can show, and I know this one didn't work out for you, and that
right,
happens. We both lose parabolic trades all the time. Like we lose on them. We win more than we lose, of course, but we lose on them. It's part of it. But this is the type of trade I would take a million times over.
me
I
too.
think we both took a loss on this, but I think this is the type of trade I would take a million times over because the edge and the probabilities were above and beyond in our favor. And I'll
Yeah,
show why. I mean, even intraday, like on our back test, we know that these parabolic moves that go straight up, they can't sustain and they come back down. There's an overwhelming probability that happens. But on Hoth specifically, the daily is littered with moves of straight up, straight back down. I'm
yep,
going to pull it up actually
yeah. I'd like to see that.
because we've said this before on every trade we take, whether it's a parabolic move, whether it's a gap replay, it doesn't matter. We're always analyzing different time frames, including the daily. So this is the Hoth daily. And you can see that this thing numerous times has had these 1 day quick up and right back down. Right here, 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 again, again, again. I mean, this one actually sustained, but out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever moves, I mean, one is sustained. So like the daily on this is primed, and then the price gets real low in this area. So I actually took another screenshot, a little more zoomed in. But these are the type of dailies we want to see. Even this one, it closed green, but I mean, it closed here. It went all the way up to here and then came all the way back down. So even though it's green, it just did not have the follow through. Here's another one. Here's another one where it went way higher than where it closed. So it's just this ticker on the daily has a history of not sustaining these moves at all. So when we're talking about referencing the daily, like that's what we're talking about. Like
Yep,
this is a daily that gives us extra added conviction because we've said, I don't know, we've probably said it a million times now. Like we're looking for confluence, like more
always.
reasons why we can be right than we can be wrong. So we know that even on the intraday piece and through our back testing and whatever, that these parabolic moves go up, they come straight back down. But then when we also see a daily of this, then it has a history of not sustaining its moves, like And I'm glad you showed that Hoff trade as a loser because, like I said, we lose on them. But that would be a trade I would take again a million times. Between the stats that we have, the edge that we have, a daily like this, like 80, 90% of the time, that's going to work in our favor. But that's why you have risk management. You set a stop. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that happens. But man, I would have taken that all day long. Probably
Exactly.
did take it. I probably took that same exact trade.
And I mean, it's something we know that's going to work, like you said, and it's we know it's going
Over
to
the
work.
long term, we
Yeah,
know what the results are going to be.
and that's another thing is there's. I wish I had some more pictures of losers.
Well, I got a loser while we're talking about it.
Let's
You know,
see.
I love showing my losers. It's my favorite.
Oh yeah, and you have to know how to lose on these because
You do?
especially with the way I size on these, if I don't know how to lose on them, I'm gonna get destroyed. I'm not gonna be doing it very much longer if I don't know how to lose on them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
You got to respect your stops.
Exactly. If it doesn't work the way that you thought it was going to, you can't just keep adding. There's so many
Right.
people that do that, and it might work for them for a while, but guess what? That one time it doesn't, you're you're
How
done.
you
Lights
lose an
out.
account. Oh.
Yep. Especially if
So,
you don't have a broker max loss, something we
yeah,
say in every single video we do.
get a broker max loss. Get a
Yeah,
broker max loss. Get a broker max loss.
yeah. If you can't conform to that risk, I mean, if you've got a $30,000 account and your broker max loss is $1,500, if you can't conform to that, then you don't really have edge.
Right.
You really don't. I mean, you might have some sort of short term edge, but it's not going to last. It won't, and I know from experience because it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter how many days I made $5,000, $10,000, whatever. That one day I lose 40 or I'll lose 30. I mean, what are you gonna do? You got a 50K account, you lose 40 grand, 30 grand. What are you gonna do? You can't trade.
Yep.
So
You'll wipe away months of work or longer, on one trade, and that's why my max loss is set to where it's at. It's protecting me. I'm not losing weeks worth of work on one trade. I'm just not.
me neither. And if you're letting it go that far against you, you're not in the right headspace anyway. You don't need to be trading
Yeah.
that day. You know.
Yep. So this is one of my losers, and I know the numbers are cut off, but they're kind of irrelevant. But it triggered for me here, and I took it. And the reason I covered here was because it was right before it was about to halt. And I always do that. If the stock is about to halt, which we've talked about before, you can see that in the level two. If it looks like it's about to halt, and it was, I'm out because this thing halted here, which I think was around $3, and it unhalted here, which was right around $4. So that's a big move on a halt.
Oh yeah.
So thankfully I covered. However, usually on parabolic moves, I'm not willing to try 2 and 3 times. I get in, it either works or it doesn't. The reason I got back in was because of the halt. Because a lot of times, again, statistically, if they do halt up, they usually will slam right back down. And this one did. Like this, it halted down actually twice, here and here. However, it opened here, it went down a little bit and looked like it was about to slam. So I re entered and then it ripped back up, halted. I think it halted again. Pretty sure it did. And of course, I exited again. And then what happened? It slammed back down. So I lost on this, but this was what we call I call it, round trip. Like it started here, round tripped all the way back to where it started. I
That was
mean,
a round trip.
yeah, from a parabolic standpoint, this is what you want. You want a round trip. You want it to go back where it started by the end of the day. This thing at noon was here, and by 1, it was right back where it started. Like this is round trip. I just lost on the trade, and that happens. I basically top tick exited because when it unhalted, boom, halted down. After it unhalted, down again, and then it died. So perfect setup. And I would take it again 1,000 times over. It just didn't work. Now
And
this
that's
exit,
how it goes sometimes.
yeah, and this exit here, usually for me, I'm risking 10% to make 30%. This exit was before the 10%, but that's because of the halt level. This one was also right at the 10% plus the halt level. So either way, I respected my risk. It didn't work out, but I lived to trade another day without a huge loss, despite the fact that it worked out. And like his trade he showed a minute ago is similar to this. We both had, kind of top tick exits. And I joke sometimes and I'll say, I have more top tick exits than I have top tick entries, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and you got to define how much you're willing to risk on these. It can't be the same as me or Craig. It's got to be how you want to risk it. That being, you know, whatever you
Yeah,
call the setup, the percentage you're willing to lose for how good
yep.
the edge is. It's all
Yeah, and
that's
we're talking percentages. 10% for me could be $1,000. 10% for somebody else could be $100. For other people, it could be $10,000. But
yep.
it's different for everybody. But either way, I would have taken that trade 1,000 times again. This is one, however, that perfect setup. It was within my wheelhouse. It was a nice pair of play, and this one worked out. Like I was a little bit late on my entry, but we've said this before. These things happen very fast. I mean, this thing in one candle was basically the whole move. And by the time I got my locates and got short, I was a little bit late. But I mean, instant resolution on this trade. I pretty much had from the point of my entry until my exit. I pretty much had zero drawdown, and that is what I love to see.
Me too. Me
Um,
too.
I actually I'm like I said, usually risking 10 for 30. This wasn't quite 30. I think I was really close to 30 here. Of course, I probably well, I say I should have took it off, but you never know. But this scared me. I don't like the low volume grind back up because sometimes they'll make a secondary push, and I went ahead and covered, but I should have just stuck to the 10 to 30 because it ended up working out. But still a great trade. Nice setup. A whole lot of nothing. Volume, parabolic move, short, instant resolution. This was like 25% in what, 20 minutes?
Yeah,
Like, give me that all day long.
that's what I'm saying, man. Um,
Yep.
and I kind of wanted to dig into this part of it too. A lot of people ask me when I'm trading a pair, like what I'm looking for as far as on the um, on the daily chart or uh, how I'm deciding when to enter. And this is just one from last year. This is one of my biggest trades last year, and I don't have an actual picture of the trade when I took it, but I've got a picture of the daily chart that I took a screenshot of earlier. Last year, I had a huge trade on this. I think I shorted it at like I took it all in one shot at like 1046 or something. It ran to like 1060, and this thing was halting up right into that level.
Yep.
I mean,
Nice wicks right there.
there's there's some volume here on that area, a little bit of volume here on that one. I mean, it's
Multiple touches too.
multiple touches all in that area. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Like from a short seller perspective, like that's a daily we dream of, like with that resistance right there.
Yeah, and like I said, this was one of, if not the biggest trades of my entire year last year. Um, I don't remember if you remember me talking about it. We were in a chat room then, and it was a massive win. I took it big because of this daily.
Yeah,
It's
this
my
is like
setup.
if you caught it around 1050 and covered this thing around
I think
five,
I
I mean, you almost made 100% on your money.
Yeah, it was close to it. It
Yeah,
was
that's crazy.
and I took it big, man. Like that's what you want. I mean, that's theoretically if you were trading an offshore account that gives massive leverage on stocks this price. I mean, you could
Good
turn
old C Meg.
I'm just saying you could turn a 15-20K account into a 30 to 35K account in a matter of about an hour. It's it's very possible.
He's not
So
speaking from experience.
no, no, no. I'd never sell anybody to do that. But yeah, totally possible, and that's the power of this setup. That's why I
Yeah,
like it so
that's a
much.
that's a nice one right there.
Yeah, this was one of my best trades ever.
And I love. Of course, you see the wicks right there where he took it, but I also love when that volume profile gets real thick right up in there too.
Yep, that
I
right
like
there.
that.
It's another
Yep.
thing that we always have on our charts.
I like that a lot.
Yep, and man, that was just an ideal one. Um, a lot of people ask me how I gauge those. I was just planning on it not going much higher than 11, and if it did, I would have been out, and it would have been a pretty nasty loss.
You
And
know,
I've
the
had them
thing
like
is, that
that.
just makes it easy to identify. Like, even if you get it at 1050 on this chart and you're risking the break and hold of 1150, like you're risking a point with the potential to make way more than that. Like the risk to reward on this setup is key, right? Like the risk to reward on these things, especially on a chart like that, is really nice.
Oh yeah, man, and I mean that's ideal. That's what I'm looking for. People ask me, "What are you looking for?" That's what I'm looking for on one like that. One that might not have a daily quite like that, and some people might not consider this um, a para because this was a multi-day runner, but it's another one where I'm taking it here, and I have a chart with some levels on it. But you see where I got short,
Around
and it was a little bit later.
yeah, 2 to 220.
Yeah, it's breaking over that level, which is like a risk level for a lot of people. So here's that huge volume, immediate fail, little pushback. I don't love to see it push back that far, but I was red on this position for very little time.
Right.
And then I'm covering it all right there, right at the end of the day. You can kind of see the color change on the chart. But that was that one, and this is some levels for it. Let's see here. So you can see the levels. I think this must have been a reverse split. Um,
I'm assuming so.
yeah, and that's another thing I like. I like that.
Dude, this is a perfect reverse split pop short right here.
Yeah, and I call it a para, but I just call it a para into resistance.
Yeah.
Because for me it did hit my one of my para scans. And I like it when they fake break out like that because there's so many people that are going to there's so many traders that risk a double top, like they're
Yeah.
going to short into that and they're like, oh no, cover here, but that's perfect. And I screw up and I get stopped out at the top sometimes. And this was a quick one, you might not have been able to get back in.
Right.
But ironically, look at the spot where it came back to, where it popped back to.
Yep.
Right there. So, yeah. And for me, I've got my cover criteria on these. I hold them a little longer than some people because from what I've tracked on them, the times when I do hold them longer to those spots, those cover spots that I want them to be at, it pays for the times that it doesn't work. And that'll just be something that, you would have to decide for yourself if you want to hold it to whatever level, end of day, whatever it is.
Well, that's something I'm trying to get better at specifically. Is I'll still take off my core at like 30%, but I'm looking to hold some pieces until end of day. But that's something I've picked up from you, and that's just something where like you learn from other people.
Right,
Like,
right. I mean, I've learned how to trade gappers way better from you. I never traded gappers before. Like I say I never traded them. I never traded them well. I didn't know exactly how I would trade a gapper right off the open, but they're such an easy setup. I've gotten better at them from you. Used to, I mainly just traded paras, and I still do. I just don't see them as much.
yeah, they haven't. My pair scans, we said that in our room the other day. Our pair scans have been pretty dry over the last couple months, but summer trading things do slow down a bit. Parabolic moves, I feel definitely slow down more in the summer, but they're going to cycle back. And I do think that's a setup. Trying to think how to word this carefully. No setup is going to work indefinitely. You always have to adjust and refine and stuff like that. But a parabolic move is one that I think has the potential to work for a longer period of time because the criteria is so unique, right? Like the volume we're looking for, low parabolic moves are on low volume.
Yeah, I don't want a
Um,
parabolic move on huge volume. Like,
yeah, they haven't traded a lot of volume, so they don't have a lot of eyes on them.
and I'll,
Most
I'll
people
pull this
never
back up
see
too.
them.
And for the parabolics on like uh one like this, look at this volume.
Yeah,
It's
I
just a little
mean,
over 500,000, and my minimum volume is, I will say it is around 500 is what I usually keep it. I have some scans that are a little lower, um, but low volume is what I want because that huge low volume push that it's all about speed, percentage, and volume for me. I mean,
yeah,
if this happened over an hour, it's not as good. Even if it is into a resistance, it's just not as good.
right.
It's a speed thing. I mean, if you're like me, and I mean, you like your moves to be, I like it to be a fast move. So that, I mean, that's why parabolics work for me, and why they, with my trading style, they resonate really well. And it's shown in my track record that I keep for myself that this is something that I'm comfortable putting size on for. So,
Yeah, and
you
I
know,
think I really do think this is a type of setup that's sustainable for maybe a longer. Gappers go through cycles where the gap happens and they just fade all day, and then
yep,
the gap happens and they chop around or they spike up or whatever. But pairs are on such low volume and have so few eyes on them that like it's going to be really hard for those moves to sustain themselves and to hold up because the volume is so low. There is so few eyes on them. They happen so fast. So I just think it's a bit more sustainable over a long period of time. But anyway,
I
you always got
totally,
to refine and stuff. But
yeah, and like we've said, there's different styles of paras. It's all different.
I know some guys that long based on parabolic, it's up 10% in X amount. They're going to long it looking for that 10 to 20 to 30% move. But you can long them. You can, again, thousand ways to cut the pie. But, we've done our research and tracking and data and journaling and this, that, and the other. And we have found what works for us.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do a video on long setups.
That'd be all you. I don't have a long setup.
Maybe we can get Fizz to join us for that because he's good with it.
If it ain't an OTC, I can't remember the last small cap I've long, to be honest with you. I'm so bad at it.
I remember one you longed.
What did I lose? I probably lost.
Nah, you won. It just went.
Oh, it was that Lunar, LUNR.
Yeah, you longed it and probably made what, like 10-15%, and it went like 300%.
Yeah, I did a great job.
Hey, I
Like,
mean, you
I
took
think I
money
made
at it.
two. I think I made 2 points on that trade, and then it went up like another 30 or 40 points after I exited. Like it
Something
was bananas.
gnarly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew not to short it though. I know that much.
that's right. You got to, yeah, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah,
But
that's a start. I didn't take a short on it. Just didn't do very well on the long. I at least
yeah,
tried.
and some of the stuff I used to lose on shorting is made for better longs for me now. Um, but I know
Yeah,
that's not what we're talking about right now. Basically, I mean, we won't drown this anymore with it. All I'm going to, end it with, say, is what I'm looking for is a big percentage move in a short amount of time, fast. I want the speed. I want to either have daily levels with volume on those levels, so I know there's bag holders to risk off of. And it doesn't have to be exact. I just want to see a level I can risk off of. This thing's going into that level, risking off that level, hammering into it, give it a little room, and then it should work. And if it doesn't have a daily level, then I'm waiting for failed follow through, big volume blow off, and I'm hammering into it right after. And I feel like that pretty much sums it up for what I'm doing.
Yep, it's a good way to put it. We, like I said, we couldn't find them without trade ideas, and we have some discretion. Like, I'm not going to trade a stock that's trading at all time highs that makes a parabolic move. I'm not going to do that. I don't
Recent
trade.
IPOs, I'm not going to trade them
Yeah,
either.
like I don't trade stuff that's in blue sky territory or, like you said, new IPO. So we got different criteria. And that's where back testing and data can, I don't want to say mess you up, but you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah,
If you're using data and back testing and it's imperfect, and that's where we use some common sense, if you will, some discretion, our higher brain functions, to determine what a good setup is and isn't. Some things at all time highs and makes a parabolic move. I'm not gonna short that. That's
yeah. I mean, what
ugh.
you unless you are just a system trader and you have a systematic way of determining risk. If you risk
Yeah.
30% on your paras, I mean,
And we both have known guys that will trade parabolic setups and they will risk 30% to make 30%, like a 1-to-1 risk reward.
I've been one of those
And
guys before.
yeah, and that works for some guys trade like that and they've been doing it for a long time and it works for them. I couldn't be one of those people. I sacrifice win rate for, a little better risk reward, but some of those guys go for the 1-to-1 and have a much higher win rate than me. It's just about what you're comfortable with. And that's where, screen time, back testing, forward testing, journaling, that's where all that comes into play.
Yep, couldn't agree more, man. And you know, all that's just what resonates well with you.
But I think you nailed the criteria well, showed a lot of
Thank
good examples. I think we've broken down what a parabolic setup is pretty well. But, same as always for everybody out there. Like, if you have questions, hit us up, comment on YouTube. Our Twitter names are right there. You can DM us. If you have questions about trade ideas and how to set that up, we can at least get you an idea of how you would set those scans up. But trade ideas, that's one thing I'll say about them too. Their resources to help you set up scans and use their software is as good as I've seen from any software company ever. Not just with
Oh, they're great.
trading, but ever. Like, their FAQ and their guide are great. Their customer service is next level.
It really
Um,
is.
I've told the story before and I'm gonna tell it again. I one time was needing help building a scan in Trade Ideas, and I sent them what I was trying to do, what I was trying to scan for, and they literally sent me back the exact scan. They
They're
sent me the
awesome.
file. Yeah.
They've
No.
always been very accommodating.
So shout out to those guys because without them, we wouldn't even trade this setup ever.
Yep, it wouldn't work. We couldn't.
Yep. But that link for them will be in the description. Like I said, if there's questions, hit us up, comment, like, share, subscribe, all the usual stuff. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
I don't either. I will say I'm open to helping anybody out. If they want to hit me up, I can give them some criteria for this. Maybe help you figure out how you want to trade them, whatever. But I think it's a good setup, So just
It's
hit me up.
definitely a good setup. Definitely a good setup. We don't want to give you the exact criteria because, like we said at the beginning, you can't trade these exactly like the next person. You got to figure out what works for you. And that's why I hate alerts. I hate these effing alert discords that are like, I'm short here. And then everybody's short. Like, that doesn't work. Time is of the essence on about every trade. Anyway, I'm not going to get on a soapbox. But yes, I have nothing else. We will answer questions. If you have questions about pairs, I would definitely hit him up because he's as good as pair trader as I've ever seen. So,
Hey, and you're good too, man. So, hey, you could hit Craig up if you like the way he trades them.
I do what I can, but I'm not as good as him on the parabolics. But we both trade them. We both like them. We both do well with them. And yeah, man, that's all I got. I'm for real done now.
Me too. I'm done.
All right. Well, appreciate y'all. Appreciate you checking this out. Like we've said before, questions, hit us up. Our Twitter names are there, or hit us up on YouTube. We got our little Discord room. You can hit us up on Discord too. there's lots of ways to get in touch with us. But anyway,
If you're
appreciate y'all.
interested in the Discord, hit us up. You can get in.
Yep. I'm about to answer a couple Twitter DMs now and send some people the link. So uh
Yep,
anyway, we're gonna do this more often. We got off the horse on making videos, but we're gonna get back at it. So hopefully we stay consistent. But anyway, appreciate y'all. I'll holler at you before shit, we're trading tomorrow. So I'll
that's
holler
right.
at you before then.
That's right.
All right, y'all. Appreciate it. Peace.
Peace.